My name is Leah, and this is the yearly report for 1907. How 1907 influenced the art movements of the 20th century. 1907 was a very influential year on the Primitivism art movement of the 20th century. Primitivism was a Western art movement that borrows visual forms from prehistoric people and non-Western cultures. With the earlier invention of the steamboat, European explorers were now able to travel to far-off lands and bring back interesting artifacts. During this time, the French Empire expanded into Africa, and the French people were bringing back discoveries of African artifacts to Paris museums. The French press was telling stories that were exaggerated of cannibalism and tales of African kingdoms, which had European elite very interested in these art forms that were new to them. Here are some examples of the discovery of African artifacts that were made in 1907 and brought back to Europe. These discoveries included masks and sculptures. There were also discoveries of Iberian artifacts made during this time, which consisted of sculptures and masks as well. Artists such as Pablo Picasso, André Derain, and Henri Matisse were inspired and intrigued by the simple style of the primitive African and Iberian cultures. They took note from the tribal masks, African arts, and Iberian sculptures, and all those things influenced their own personal art styles. André Derain received an African Fang mask in 1907 that was the start of his impressive collection. His painting called The Dance shows a brightly colored landscape, masks, and body painting. It was clearly a painting that was influenced by this new discovery. Henri Matisse was so intrigued that he actually traveled to Algeria to study African art and primitivism. Matisse shared one of his masks with his friend Pablo Picasso. The influence here can clearly be seen looking at Picasso's painting called Head of a Woman in 1907. Here you can see a side-by-side comparison of the painting and the mask, and you can see the similarities. Another great work was Picasso's painting done in 1907 called Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, and was greatly influenced by Iberian and African art. Picasso's paintings during this time showed the impact on primitivism and led the way to additional art movements. It was clear that many European artists were drawn to the abstraction of the human figure displayed in African and Iberian art. It allowed French artists to see the spiritual aspect and move away from traditional methods of Western art that they knew up until this point. These are my works cited.